Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going on a really chilling journey deep into ancient folklore and, honestly, into human psychology itself. We're going to break down this absolutely terrifying story centered around an ancient occult practice known as the Andakup Siddhi, or the Dark Well Ritual. It's just a fascinating, mind-bending look at the lengths people will actually go to for a shortcut in life. And as you'll see, we'll uncover the ultimate and often completely hidden price of unearned success. So let's dive right in.
Right off the bat, we need to talk about our main character, Mithun, because his fatal flaw is just glaringly obvious. Listen to what he tells his best friend. What kind of human changes? I just always find the easy way out. I mean, wow. Mithun is entirely consumed by this dangerous, insatiable desire for a shortcut. He doesn't want to evolve. He literally wants nothing to do with putting in the actual effort. He just wants the ultimate life hack. And it's exactly this toxic mindset that perfectly sets the stage for a truly horrific sequence of events.
Section 1. Seeking the easy path, the psychology of a shortcut.
This dynamic between Mithun and his childhood friend Rajan highlights a massive psychological divide. On one hand, you've got Mithun. He relied on cheating all through school, thinks a regular job is basically slavery, and is constantly hunting for a jugaad, a quick, shady hack to make money without lifting a finger. Unsurprisingly, this just leads to heavy drinking, wasting whatever cash he has, and completely alienating his family. Then, contrast that with Rajan. He's grounded, he reads, he has a stable government job, and he actually believes in hard work. Despite their wild differences, Rajan is the only one who still supports Mithun, both financially and emotionally. But unfortunately for Mithun, Rajan's stability just isn't enough to pull him away from his absolute obsession with finding a shortcut.
Section 2. The terrifying Andakup ritual, a 5-night descent.
So Mithun's relentless desire for an easy life leads him to this incredibly dark discovery. He finds a torn page from an old jail newspaper that outlines a forbidden occult practice. And the mechanics of this ritual are super rigid. He finds an abandoned, dry well on the very edge of his village. For the first few nights, he climbs down into the pitch blackness with just a tiny lamp. He creates a circular boundary out of ashes, places a lemon right in the center, and starts driving iron nails into the dirt. And you have to imagine, with every strike of the hammer, the echo inside that well just grows more and more oppressive. By the third night, he introduces a black cloth and some oil, reciting a mantra he memorized from that newspaper clipping. And as he chants, he starts to hear this heavy, rhythmic breathing sound coming from the earth beneath him. The entity is waking up.
The terror escalates so fast leading up to the final night. Night 4. The well completely fills with this suffocating, thick stench of burning wood, and the ground itself literally feels like it's shifting under his feet. But Mithun, he pushes through the panic. Finally, it's the 5th night. He descends again, but this time, he brings absolutely no light. He sits there in total suffocating darkness. He recites the full final incantation, and the exact moment the last word leaves his lips, the ground turns ice cold. A booming, unearthly voice echoes from the depths, demanding to know what he wants. Mithun doesn't even hesitate. His response is immediate: money, power, and easy life. And just like that, the Dark Pact is sealed.
Section 3. Success and its price. The illusion of unearned wealth.
Well, at first, the Dark Pact seems like a massive, instant success. A guy who used to lose at gambling constantly, he suddenly cannot stop winning. Hand after hand, the money just piles up. He starts hitting multiple lottery jackpots. Suddenly, he's brokering these massive real estate deals, clearing disputed properties and haunted mansions in a matter of days. Within just a few short months, he upgrades from a leaky, rundown shack to a sprawling mansion with towering walls and shiny marble floors. He buys a luxury car. He gets everything he ever asked for, literally without a single drop of hard work. But here's the catch, right? When success completely lacks hard work, a hidden price is almost always paid. Rajan goes over for a lavish feast at Mithun's new mansion, and instead of being happy for him, Rajan just feels this deep, heavy psychological dread. The tables are overflowing with incredible food, yet as he looks at his best friend in this massive sprawling estate, he knows in his gut that this sudden, unearned prosperity is fundamentally wrong. He can just sense that a terrible, terrible price is looming on the horizon.
Section 4. Baba Gorakhnath's warning, the unpaid debt.
And then the illusion violently crumbles. Let's trace this downfall because it is brutal. Month 1, a massive real estate deal completely blows up in his face. He gets lazy, fails to check the paperwork, gets blamed for a huge fraudulent sale, and has to pay massive penalties straight out of his own pocket. Month 2, the gambling luck violently reverses. Every bet he places, he loses. The lotteries completely stop hitting. But it quickly shifts from just financial collapse to intense, suffocating psychological and physical torment. By the 3rd month, the guy can't even sleep. He is plagued by these recurring, vivid nightmares of being trapped in a damp, pitch-black cave. And then, by the 4th month, the nightmare actually bleeds into reality. He wakes up gasping for air, feeling invisible, heavy hands physically choking him in his own bed.
Now completely broke, terrified out of his mind, and having sold his luxury car just to buy basic groceries, Mithun runs to Rajan. He's weeping, absolutely begging for help. Rajan reaches out to contacts in his wife's village and brings back a powerful tantric expert named Baba Gorakhnath. The very moment Baba Gorakhnath steps through the door of Mithun's house, he closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and immediately senses this overwhelming dark aura. Without missing a beat, he demands to be taken straight to the place where the ritual was performed. So, they go to the edge of the village. Standing over this rotting, foul-smelling well, Baba Gorakhnath realizes exactly what has happened. He looks dead at Mithun and delivers a terrifying truth. Newspapers do not print the whole truth, son. You see, Mithun took a shortcut to learn about a shortcut. The clipping from that old jail newspaper, it only gave him the steps to awaken the entity, but it conveniently left out the single most vital, horrifying rule of the entire ritual.
And that missing rule? It was an absolute death sentence. This wasn't some genie in a magic lamp granting wishes for free. No, it was a binding demonic contract that strictly required an Amavasya sacrifice. What's that? It's a mandatory blood offering required every single new moon to feed the awakened demon. Mithun had been living it up, enjoying his newfound riches for months, completely oblivious to the fact that he was starving the very monster that gave him the wealth in the first place. The entity wasn't just coming to take his money back, it was coming for his life to settle the unpaid debt.
Section 5. The horrifying consequence of greed. The demon collects.
The timing couldn't be worse. Tomorrow is Mahalaya Amavasya, literally the darkest night of the new moon. Under the cover of total darkness, Mithun, who is just trembling with fear at this point, goes back to the edge of that rotting well, accompanied by Baba Gorakhnath. Now, Baba Gorakhnath stays at the top, performing his own protective chants, but he insists that Mithun has to descend alone to fulfill his end of the bargain. So Mithun climbs back down into that oppressive dark, carrying a black rooster. He desperately sets up the ritual space all over again, lights a tiny lamp, and makes the delayed blood sacrifice. He's just praying it'll be enough to appease this starving entity.
But things go horribly wrong. The rooster's blood hits the dirt, but instead of soaking into the ground, it instantly dries up. Gone. Then, the ground begins to violently tremble. Cracks start forming in the dirt walls of the well, and suddenly, a high-pressure jet of blood actually shoots up from the ground, spraying Mithun. And out of the darkness, that horrific, grating voice echoes through the well, completely rejecting the meager offering. It snarls, "What about the past sacrifices? I have been hungry for months. Today, I will take my own share." The debt of all that unearned success had just grown way too large for a simple, delayed apology.
As Mithun screams in terror and begs Baba Gorakhnath for help, the earth beneath his feet simply gives way. Massive, shadow-black hands burst straight out of the dirt, grabbing Mithun by the legs. Before he can even process what is happening, he is violently, forcefully pulled deep down into the earth. And then, the well just goes completely silent. No struggle, no sound. Just an empty, dry well. It is an incredibly gruesome, visceral finale that physically proves our core theme here. Shortcuts always carry a fatal cost.
Up top, Baba Gorakhnath looks down into that silent well and delivers the absolute core psychological takeaway of this entire nightmare. He says, if the darkness is insulted, it takes its own revenge. Think about it. Mithun's death wasn't some random accident, and honestly, he was the only one to blame. He actively sought out unearned success, he utilized completely incomplete knowledge, and he arrogantly tried to cheat a system that was much older and infinitely darker than himself. The story of the On the Coop City is just this incredibly stark reminder that when you take shady shortcuts in life, the bill eventually comes due. And when it does, it will destroy you.
You know, it is incredibly easy for us to sit back and judge Mithun for being so foolish. We all logically know that hard work is the right way to do things. But let's be deeply, uncomfortably honest with ourselves for just a second. If the devil showed up right now and offered you everything you ever wanted, endless wealth, untouchable status, an incredibly easy life, all without a single ounce of hard work, knowing there might be hidden fine print,
Would you make that deal? Would you honestly take success without the struggle? Keep that in mind the next time you find yourself looking for an easy way out. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next one.